Good afternoon, Speed Gaming fans. Today we have got some hot title action for you in the Irongol Heavy Metal Championship Series. Today, the #1 contender, the master of the black belt himself, the One Punch Man, Puff, is going to be trying to dethrone Spellzapp, our reigning, defending heavy metal champion of the world! I am Dr. Funkin. Joining me in the booth is Jat2980. Jat, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. This is a match that is worth waking up to. Outside of their Irongol hype, these are two fantastic runners. Spellzapp, a finalist in the spring tournament going on now, and Puff, the Duckling Don himself. A great teacher for all of us in the community, but also just a fantastic runner who really specializes in melee classes, especially the black belt. And, oh man, we got a spicy party here. So, let's quickly touch on the fact this was not drafted. This was forced.
It certainly was. Part of the flags for today's was that they could get any party, but whatever party the seed assigns to them, that's the party they gotta stick with. And this could make for a rough early game because enemy stats aren't clamped at 100 to 150% of normal. However, we do have separate HP scaling, so they could end up squishy.
Yeah, and I think our runners are just about to get off. We got both people ready, and the gate will be dropped shortly. So, just a couple fun things about this flag set. Does anyone here like robot chickens? If you do, you can get your Bless RNGs out and chat a little bit early today. What flag do we have on right now, Dr. Funkin?
We got Warmech Unleashed, so Warmech can be anywhere.
So yeah, basically, everywhere is the Bridge of Destiny. Doesn't that make Seeds way more fun?
Certainly makes it more interesting for us as viewers.
Now,
I'm excited. The gate's been dropped. The runner should be off the line any moment.
One more kind of interesting flag of note, which you'll never really be able to see visually. Robot chickens are pretty visual. You'll, take one step from Canary and, oh, look, it's a Warmech. But the other one that's not so obvious is that the black belt crit rate bug fix or balance change, where it halves the crit rate, is not on. So these black belts are incredibly powerful.
Speaking of bug fixes that we're not necessarily going to see, there is a missing value in the RNG table which has been re-added in the flags today. So instead of a normal 3 out of 256 chance of things getting critted, like instant death spells, it's only going to be a 2 in 256 chance.
Oh, we have some hype right here. We have a Cat Claw 5 in the shop. I mean, it's only $60,000, but get those cat claws out.
And that's another thing to point out. Today, in our flags, we have got Blurst Weaponry out. So, any weapon can have up to a +5 bonus or a -5 penalty, making it better or worse than normal. Hence, you see Puff buying himself a bunch of +5 sticks.
Yeah, those +5 sticks. Not a weapon that you'll see very often, but for those of you who want to do the stats, each point of Blurst for weapons will increase damage by 2, hit by 3, and crit by 3 now on the beta or on this alpha site. So this is going to be pretty exciting, and these +5 sticks are going to do some pretty good work.
They certainly are, and we're already in the Temple of Fiends checking these chests. 522 gold, not a bad find. 7,000, significantly better, and a pro ring +2. So the best armor in the game is even better than you.
So this seed, a full
could be anywhere.
Which means expect lots of chests being open today, and also chest density is going to be prioritized over incentive dungeons, for example.
Yep, so when people say sky, 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 it's even more true today than it is otherwise.
So that early money is definitely going to be really nice here, as those silver 5s are fantastic pieces of early game weaponry here.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone can swing a stick and do some real damage.
Now, two things of note that are not on right now are both Town Shuffle and Entrance Shuffle. If you've watched a bunch of Irongol in the past, you'll see that those are very common flags, but right now, we have all our entrances and all our towns in their vanilla locations. So we're going to be seeing things routing similar to the Swiss tournament, if you watched that earlier, as early inner sea. Oh, and there's the canal.
And there's the bridge at Matoya's.
So yeah, so we're going to be seeing those inner sea checks most likely. We'll be checking out Matoya, we'll be going over to Provoca, but of course Provoca's not necessarily as nice as it is in some other seeds, because Bicky could just be holding on to absolute junk.
Not only could Bicky be holding on to absolute junk, Bicky could be beefy. We have unsafe pirates on today, so the pirates could be looking to nuke our party into the ground. And without having a good sweeper yet, those pirates could be a real problem.
Yeah, but if the pirates aren't, they're generally a reasonably safe source of good EXP, and we have enough damage at this point to take them out for sure.
Yep, as long as they aren't casting spells on us, we should be okay.
So a couple other notes about the flags. This is an alpha seed, so we're getting to see a couple of the new additions to the Final Fantasy Randomizer, and if you're familiar with the site, something that people have long asked for is the ability to separate how HP scales and how stats scale. Before, when you set it to 500% clamped, which is 100% to 500%, you might have wanted the health, but you didn't need Kraken hitting for 3,000 damage. Well, in this case, we've separated it. So the boss HP is set at 300%, or 100 to 300%. And their stats, though, are only 50 to 200%. So we're getting to see a little bit of variation there, where we know we won't have anything that's absolute paper. But these things aren't going to swing as hard as, a 300% clamped boss would normally.
That's right. And we actually have the opposite true for our regular run-of-the-mill enemies, where the stats are clamped at 100 to 150%, but their HP could roll low.
So as our runners are checking things out, if you're new to Final Fantasy Randomizer, please ask any questions that you might have in the chat. We are here to both entertain but also help educate and give you all a chance to figure out, is this a game that's interesting to me? What's going on? What decisions are being made? So if you're curious, definitely feel free to ask. We also have tons of great community members in our chat right now who are more than willing to answer any questions that you might have. And here we go, we're taking on the pirates, and so far it looks like they're just swinging, and that's exactly what we want to see. And man, you're seeing already, those Silver Sword 5, 134 damage for a level 3 fighter.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing mass damage. And on top of that, we also found some silver bracelets +2 for about 3,000. I think Wrigley Puff picked up 1 or 2 of those, which is going to be some great early defense for some of the squishier party members. And oh no,
yeah.
Wrigley Puff's signature black belt taking a dirt nap.
Oh no, that's okay. We all know Wrigley Puff will put the love, care, and attention into his black belt that it deserves. I'm curious to see if both runners are going to keep up both of their fighters for this entire seed. As Cyrenus is pointing out in chat, Wrigley Puff may actually go for the no black belt strats here. He might just go for double fighters, because his thief is also at the top right now.
Yeah, it does look like those fighters are his focus right now, and that can make a lot of sense. Fighters are, extremely tanky, so regardless of what the seed throws at you, they have the best, ability to survive, so to speak.
Yeah. I'm very curious to see what our level 3 and 4 magic are going to give to us, because if level 3 and 4 magic has some, faster temper in the black magic slot, or also lock, then that's going to be a little bit more incentive to keep that thief up for a little bit longer. As without a caster, those 4 casts of fast, lock, or temper are essential. Spellzapp, though, I don't even believe he checked Elfland before he left.
That's correct. And this can make a lot of sense, because right now, the biggest draw to Melmond, to Elfland normally, is the fact that you get level 3 and 4 magic. Right now, we're a full melee party. There's no point, we can't get any of this magic yet.
Yeah. So, going straight to Melmond, and I'm gonna go check out a few chests here.
Yep, looks like he's going to, at the very minimum, the top floor of Earth. Which
is
sensible. It's a relatively dense area. Like it's not as dense as you would like. Oh, he's gonna check the grind tiles first.
Yeah, I was going to say, Earth 1 has two kind of big things. One is that you can check all of the chests, kind of if you have a long run, you can check each chest with like relatively short amount of encounters. And two is there's 3 distinct grind tiles, all within easy reach. And that's something that's unique in the early game if you don't have the key. So definitely a big draw to Earth here. And Gregglypuff making the opposite decision, going to go to Marsh.
Yep. And a lot of people are, team never marsh, if you don't have to. And considering, but however, we are kind of limited by not having a canoe or, other modes of transport. And Gregglypuff finding a slab, which we can get translated, but isn't necessarily useful at the moment, aside from the 5% XP bonus it gives. Also, of note, Spellzapp found a pretty good grind tile. It's a little tough at this point, but it had Big Eyes and Gersharks, which is a lot of XP. And, Gregglypuff finding another Pro Ring and a ribbon.
Yeah, Marsh providing. Marsh giving you a loose item, a Pro Ring 2, an Opal Armor, and a ribbon. So, wow. Just absolutely loaded top floor of Marsh.
Absolutely. Here's hoping he's able to successfully walk it back out.
Yeah, like Marsh gets a really bad rap because in games where there's incentive locations, Marsh is often not incentivized. And because of that, any trip that you're going in here is just opening boxes where you're searching for 2 of the loose items that are available to you. In this case, because there's no incentive locations, Marsh is arguably just as good as going to ice or ordeals or anything like that. And in many cases, it's going to be faster than some of those checks. So not a bad location. Now, it still has the unfortunate title, I would say, of having perhaps the most, or if not the most, one of the most variety of enemies, and that can lead to some really nasty scripts and spells. But these are low-level enemies, and they should be able to be taken out in more or less one swing by these silver swords and wooden stick 5s.
Pro Rings are also available for sale in Melmond for about 9,000 gold. So Spellzapp picking him up, got 3 of his party members equipped with Pro Rings now, so he's got some decent protection going into the early game here. Looking like he's going to check Elfland from the south on his way over to Crescent Lake.
Yeah, this is a nice veteran move to check, back dock of Elfland. Lets your boat stay out in the outer sea, so you don't have to go all the ways in and then all the ways back out. If you don't get the canoe, it's going to be really nasty to have to sail all the ways around again.
And level 3 Fade was in the 3rd slot. I believe that's locked.
The 3rd slot is going to be available for the night, so yeah, everything but the 2nd slot will be night learnable at level 3. So that's going to be a great pickup for them once they hit 15 and get the tail.
Assuming they find the tail.
Yeah, with everything being loose, this is going to be when you go seed, as once they hit go mode, they are going to not want to open many more boxes, considering they have no idea where these loose items are.
And it looks like Lock 2 is going to be ninja learnable as well, so we've got some okay stuff going on for the late game if we are able to promote.
Yeah, so with no fast and no temper, that's going to really put a premium on the Power Gauntlet, as the Power Gauntlet, or the Power Bonk as it's known in the community, is going to allow the knights to cast Saber on themselves, and that will let them hit a lot harder. If you have a really high Absorb Fiend or a really high Evade Fiend, those are kind of the 2 things that you're worried about. High Absorb, you're going to get through with the Power Gauntlet, and High Evade, you have Lock available. So those are both, kind of key tools to get through a tricky Topher.
Right you are, Jad. Meanwhile, Spellzapp now making the Marsh Dive, because there's, not a whole lot else to do, so he's going to be rewarded with the Marsh Armory. Gregglypuff going around killing some bats, using the NPC Guillotine to get him out of his way nice and quick.
I was just about to say, what a beautiful flag. NPC Guillotine, if you've ever been Jake Hoppered or anything like that by a bat, that means when you're walking down, let's say, the Halls of Earth, and there just happens to be a friendly bat who wants to talk. For on and on and on. NPC Guillotine lets you remove them from the map, let's say, by talking to them, and then they disappear. So a great quality of life improvement. If you haven't played with it before, highly recommend turning it on for your next race.
Yeah, and we're very quickly running out of boxes to check. It's beginning to look like progression might be deeper into Marsh, or because we have open progression on and we got the Oxyel already, it might be in C, which is going to be kind of rough for a party with no sweepers.
Yes, going early C with this particular party is going to be very tricky. And we have our first Robot Chicken Overlord. Get your hype out in chat. And Gregglypuff is doing a couple test swings here.
And those test swings did not go well for him. I don't think a single one hit, and he's just getting munched for.
Yep, so Robot showing who's boss, but that was not the scariest robot I've ever seen. It punched for like 230, 300, so that's not too bad. And that easily is going to be something that you can take out once you get the damage to kill it.
Absolutely, and by the time you're ready to start punching a War Mech for XP, you're also going to have a lot more gear, most likely. So that Flamesword plus 4 is a great pickup.
Yeah, for sure. But he's just going to reset out of it. It's not such an incremental improvement over the Silver 5 that it's kind of worth walking out of Marsh with it.
Absolutely, you're better off saving the time.
Now, here's the thing with the War Mech. We talk a lot about encounter zones, and for example, in Crescent Lake, there's 4 distinct encounter zones that you can check to try and find those Peeds. Well, with War Mech Unleashed, all you have to do is you can check any encounter zone in the entire map to try and find somewhere where I think it's Encounter 7 or Encounter 8, which is what War Mech is on. And all you have to do is find a place where Encounter 8 is first. And once you find that, you're going to be able to get that War Mech right off the power cycle. So if you can find that location, you can grind War Mech once you have the levels.
Grinding War Mech usually means just killing 1, 2.
Yeah, you can kill a few, but basically the importance of a grind tile is good for the early game because it's something that you're going to need, especially if you say you need to go to C at level 6. But other than that, you always have the opportunity to get experience quickly off of War Mech.
You certainly do, and it looks like Gregglypuff is finally going up to take on Garland, which he had not done yet.
Yeah, I was curious why we hadn't seen the items that Spellzapp got from Garland earlier, and that's because Gregglypuff just, trying to get into the Never Garland meta, originated from Thunder. But here we go.
So that'll get him his Oxyel and his Canal so that he can get out of the Inner Sea and continue exploring.
So we have Krellin107 asking in chat, what did I miss so far? You haven't missed too much. We've mostly just been exploring the Inner Sea. At this point, we have checked all of the chests outside of C, and we do have Sea Shrine available to us with the Oxyel. A quick summary of the flags is that we have War Mech Unleashed, which means that War Mech is available in every single encounter zone, including dungeons and overworld. We've also have... Oh, go ahead.
Just a quick correction. We have not checked everything but C. There are also 2 floors of Earth we haven't checked.
Oh, correct. Yes, we haven't checked Earth 2 and 3. So yeah, War Mech is unleashed, everything is loose, and we have 4 forced melee, fighter, thief, black belt. So that's what we have.
And we also have separate enemy HP and stat scaling, and then a different set of HP and stat scaling for bosses.
Yeah, will we find the legendary sea canoe? I think the legendary sea canoe is always a very interesting thing, because it's like, is it a noteworthy canoe if it just sinks into the sea? Like, how do you get a canoe underwater and then use it afterwards?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd trust that canoe. It's definitely full of holes.
Spellzapp also, meeting his maker in the War Mech.
Yeah, War Mech not playing nice in the early game, as one would expect from a War Mech.
I think Crabcakes pointed out in chat earlier, though, one other huge piece of information about this War Mech is the fact that it's runnable. So we do have which encounters are unrunnable randomized. So normally for all of you who like your unrunnable Arsaheg, Wizaheg packs, they are not necessarily unrunnable in this match. However, it was possible for War Mech to be unrunnable, and that basically would mean a lot of encounter table manipulation, as every time you ran into him in the early game, you would just be dying.
Yeah, it would basically be a guaranteed wipe, but luckily that is not the case. Oh, Sarah said it first, according to Crabcakes. Thank you, Sarah.
So we've gotten through the early game relatively unscathed, considering we've had a 4 melee party. Everything's been not too bad.
Those cats have stone touch, though.
I kind of commentator cursed that a little bit, but even that's not so bad. We fully cleared Marsh without running into anything other than like a stun touch. We've gotten some levels. We've got pretty good gear at this point. But Gregglypuff choosing to go into Earth before he goes into Sea, and I think this is just because this is the much safer play.
It certainly is. Like, Earth can be annoying just because of how spread out the chests are, but when we're at this low level, we haven't found, like... Maybe if we had found a Zeus Gauntlet or a Thor Hammer, I could argue going to Sea first, but this makes a lot of sense considering the gear that we've currently got. And the confused old men in the park over at Crescent Lake have a chime for us, so that's another location we can go that's pretty test gens, the Mirage Chower.
Man, that is unbelievable. That's just like opening one chest, and all of a sudden it's got a loose item in it. And that's what that was, so yes, we're used to the sages having an item, but that's crazy when we're all loose.
It certainly is. And Chomel in chat was asking about what the numbers next to the weapons mean. We have a flag called Blurst. It is Blessing and Cursed. Some weapons can be more powerful than normal, hence you'll see a positive number, or they can be weaker than normal, hence a negative number.
Yeah, and if you want to get the exact stats, we have tons of very useful charts showing up in our resource and link section of our Discord. We also, you can also check out the exact scalings on the alpha site for this particular seed. Now, Mirage is a lot more enticing than going to Sea early. Mermaid's not so bad, as there's only really 2 floors of encounters you have to go to, but Mirage is also very tempting, as you can check the first floor relatively quickly and safely.
You absolutely can, especially if you can find a decent spot in the encounter table with a good run.
Yeah, so our encounters are at, I believe, 0.6, yeah, 0.6 and 0.7. So that is definitely a nice decrease. And that means you can get a decent number of runs, so you should only really need 2 encounters to get all the ways down to the Mermaid's floor, assuming that you know when to go in, and you don't check all the chests here on the TFC floor. Or you have the most beautiful run ever and get 0.
Yeah, I mean, that certainly makes sense. There's your sea canoe that you were asking for.
Oh man. Sea canoe. Very nice there. The canoe's going to open up a lot of different locations, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's better locations to go to, with the one exception of Volcano. Volcano's going to be a really, really nice check at this point.
Speaking of nice checks, there's a nice chest with an XCal +2 in it.
Ooh, XCal +2, very, very good. The big problem with the XCal is its low crit rate in the late game, but with the XCal +2, that's going to bump its crit rate up to closer to 10%. And at that 10%, you're looking at Massa levels, and Massa levels are very nice. So that XCal is going to do some serious work.
And also picking up a Flame Shield +3, so yeah, these fighters are going to be nice and beefy. We got all kinds of great gear popping up out of chests here.
Yeah, these black belts, I do not think they're going to be necessary, but I don't think Spellzapp's, fully committed at this point, but I assume he'll be committing shortly.
Yeah, it was a little surprising to see Gregglypuff commit first, considering his reputation, but it does look like the right move.
This is serious time. This is the championship matchup. Gregglypuff has no time to be grinding black belts against a competitor of Spellzapp's caliber.
You raise a good point. And he also hasn't seen, the Gershark Big Eye tile because he got stoned to death by those cats right before it in Earth Cave.
So ghosts always very scary, but these ones seem to be extremely tame.
Unusual. Normally they just hit you like a darn truck.
Spellzapp up to level 8, so starting to get those early game levels. Early game levels very important in an all melee party, as they're increasing your survivability, as unlike when you have a mage party who can cast, Fire 3 or Lit 3 or Nuke at level 1 or 2, and then just not have to have survivability because you kill them before they kill you. With the melee party, you're going to run into encounters which you have to take, and that are going to take a little bit longer, so getting those early levels is very important, not only for the obvious, strength benefits so you do more damage, but also just for the survivability, because you need the time to kill the packs.
Hey, strength is part of survivability. The faster you kill things, the less chances they have to hit you. Spellzapp successfully getting out of the mermaid side. However, the first step out is an ambush from a frost giant and some frostwolf.
Yeah, so saving up here. Yeah, so a little bit of a note on this is that if you've been following the spring tournament, which is going into its final stages, we have Game 3 of Crab Cakes versus Cheesenator tonight, which is our last semifinal matchup, and then we have our final starting next week. That is a tournament style, but this is more of a league. So you can think of this as, well, I mean, it comes from wrestling, but you can think of it more like a sports league, where we're going to have, once in a while, we're going to have a title belt match.
Hey,
and
wrestling
that's
is the one true sport.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
There's a floater in C as well, in the big upper chest there.
So C provides, we have a C canoe and a C floater. So, you know, some earlier race happened, crashed into C, they lost everything, and now these runners are here to pick it up again so they can get into the air at around the 30-minute mark.
So, Jat, your Spellzapp, you've just found both your canoe and your floater. Do you proximity check the waterfall while you're here, or do you immediately go turn that in and get in the sky?
So exit and warp are not considerations, and that's something that I would be thinking about, is if I could get exit and warp before I come back, would I do so? Yes, but in this case, that's not going to be possible. Now, the Cardia checks are very, very tempting at this point. I think I would probably dip into waterfall, just because of how slow it is to get back to Onrak. But actually, no, that's not true, because you're going to be coming back here anyways to kill Kraken. So I think I would just go get the floater and leave, because you're going to be coming back here at least once anyways.
That's a good point right there. Yeah, the fact that you definitely don't have the levels to kill Kraken right now makes a lot of sense to dip and get in the air as fast as possible.
Yeah, getting in the air is going to be really, really nice for these runners, as overworld movement, although we haven't really seen it, is extremely deadly in this seed. With the Unleashed Warmac.
Yeah, you never know when you're just going to get knocked out.
So Gregglypuff did make the decision to go check all these chests. With everything being loose, it's definitely a good call, and getting rewarded with his floater as well, so no major advantage to Spellzapp. These runners, both excellent, are within, you know, a minute of each other, 30 seconds. They're just, you know, clearing out the same floor.
Yeah, this has been pretty neck and neck. It's been a very, very close race, which is exactly what you want to see in something this high stakes.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a little surprised that Spellzapp didn't go check Mirage, but Mermaids is extremely tempting, because if there's one unrunnable fight on the way to greater than less than, with this party, you could get completely destroyed. Versus Mermaids, because the whole Mermaids floor has no encounters, you only really need to get through 2 floors to get all those chests. So I think that's why the C play was made, and it definitely paid off for him.
It absolutely paid off for both of our runners. So Gregglypuff just about out. Here's hoping he makes it. Ooh, nice big run, and he's safe.
Yeah, encounters down is like the nicest flag. More than NPC Guillotine. 0.6, 0.7 around there is just like such a nicer way to play this game.
It certainly is, along with, you know, the different speed improvements, like being able to dash.
Ooh. Spellzapp going back in. This is interesting to me. I don't think he can kill Kraken. So is this just him checking chests? But then he's gonna have to walk out.
Yeah, this may just be an informational dive, but who knows? Gregglypuff, of course, dipping straight for that floater.
Yeah, so if you're gonna kill Kraken, then going waterfall next makes a lot of sense. But I'm very surprised by this. I do not think he has the capabilities to kill Kraken at this point safely. Like, he definitely could kill Kraken, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's like a 100% chance by any stretch. And this is very risky, is if there's something here, he's gonna lose, or even if there's not something here, he's gonna lose a lot of time and a bunch of experience he's gotten from taking fights along the way. So
yeah, and I just looked. Spellzapp is also currently at a level disadvantage to Gregglypuff, so this is even riskier than it would be if Greggly decided to make this game.
Yeah, the one advantage Spellzapp does have at this point is the fact that... Oh, maybe Wigglypuff's going to check it right now. I was going to say, the fact that the Sages have an incentive look item is actually kind of funny, and that's something that Spellzapp has that Wigglypuff might not check for a while, because if you think about it, the Sages are just like a really long walk to get one chest. So it's something that he might skip for a while, and it is the Chime, so something that's going to be necessary to beat this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we saw that. Wigglypuff landed there and then thought better of it.
You kind of get onto like an autopilot when you play Final Fantasy for long enough, the randomizer, because you're so used to certain places being incentive locations every single time. And wow, speaking of incentive locations every single time, there's the Ruby. Now the Ruby with the floater is not as important as it might be in other seats, because it only unlocks 4 chests, but still a nice find, and if one of those 4 chests has something important, that is a pretty big deal.
It certainly would be. And if nothing else, it's another key item, which means it's another 5% XP boost.
Okay, I think that find is actually bigger than the Ruby, by quite a bit. He just picked up the defense sword. Ooh, and Puff picks up the Masa -5. Okay, so big pickups, big sword pickups from both of our runners. Now, the defense sword casting ruse is going to be really, really important, as we only have Invis available, and defense is a key part of late game Topher safety.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially for a party like this. It's gonna whoever your main damage dealer is, you're gonna want to throw a defense sword on them so that they can get themselves evasion, especially against, say, Kraken.
Yeah, and as chat pointing out, the mini Masa, the Masa -5, not exactly what you want to see, but actually still a very good weapon. The Masa -5 is still going to be better than most weapons that you run into, except for its crit rate. And that crit rate is not as important against regular mobs. So that Masa -5 is still a nice pickup.
Yeah, I'm not sure how the new changes to the Blurst weapons flag work, but before those changes, a Masa -5 was still a better sword than an Xcal +4.
Yeah, just damage-wise. But it does have, yeah, exactly. Simple Sarah pointing out exactly the kind of number breakdown. It has lower crit and no elemental strength, but it has the damage still, so that's really nice. Ooh, Wigglypuff getting some EXPs. Meanwhile, Spellzapp showing off a beautiful feature of, I don't remember if it's beta or alpha that has it. It both have them now, but the runnable Arsaheg Wizaheg pack.
Yep, that pack used to be completely unrunnable because it was the B side of the Pirates. In our alpha and beta sites, we have got it so that that fight is now runnable like any other.
So Spellzapp did want to go in just to check the chest. And that makes some sense with all these items being loose, but it still surprises me quite a bit with... Oh god. Hold your breath, folks.
Oh, we thought we had a chance when Warmac cast Lit 2, but it was not to be. And Spellzapp wipes out of Kraken's side.
Yeah, so Kraken's side, he knows where that defense is, which is really, really nice. He also knows where that Ruby is, which is also nice. And we have a raid of 112 people coming in from Speed Gaming 2, so welcome, Speed Gaming 2. This is the Final Fantasy Randomizer, not Spring 2020 tournament. This is the FFR Irongol Heavy Metal Championship, and you tuned in for a fantastic belt match between our current Spring Tournament finalist, Spellzapp, and the Duckling Dawn himself, Wigglypuff.
Yep, and speaking of the Duckling Dawn himself, he just found a fantastic pickup for when he decides to go back to sea. He just grabbed the Zeus Gauntlet.
Ooh, very nice. So the Zeus Gauntlet, casting Lit 2, a little bit underrated when you're used to having mages with nuke at level 1. But when you don't have any mages, and you don't have the tail so you can't cast any types of spells yet, that AoE sweeper is going to be huge and really increase the safety and speed in which you go through somewhere like sea.
Yep. And it looks like Spellzapp went straight for the Cardia Isles after getting his airship, and is rewarded with a Silver Shield +5. That's going to be a lot of defense for one of his... Oh, no, decides he doesn't want it.
That's interesting to me. I guess he thought it wasn't worth it, but I would take that Silver Shield +5. That's going to be, like, endgame absorb.
Yeah, I mean, I would have walked it out, but Spellzapp's a finalist in the tournament, and I don't even race because I'm bad. So he may be better off than me on that decision. And he finds an herb too, so that's 5% more XP.
Yeah, so we do have EXP scaling on, so every key item they find is going to make you get levels just a little bit faster, but I don't think that, turn-in items, fetch quest items, are as important in this seed as they would be normally, as we have all of our items being loose, so that Prince is just as likely as this chest. Oh, I was going to say this chest here to turn up with nothing. Of course, it opens the tail immediately, and the bottle. Wow, Cardia Isles provide.
Ooh, and a katana +3 in the armory over on Gregglypuff's side, so keeping up this thief may really pay off.
Oh man. So yeah, that katana +3 is like fantastic late game gear. So the katana is actually known as being one of the best weapons in the game to swing in the late game. It can be even better than the Masa just because of its higher crit rate, and it has more damage than the Vorpal. Now the downside of it is the Thief, usually, but in this case, the Thief has been up for a while for Spellzapp, and it's going to do fantastic damage through the later Fiend fights. With the defense, you may see Spellzapp go for, the defense and the Power Bonk both on the Thief against Chaos.
Entirely possible, and Spellzapp got that tail not promoting, so Spellzapp is definitely thinking about running the Black Belt as his endgame damage dealer.
Yeah, so we have a little conversation in chat right now about what the Black Belt MDef growth settings are. So for those of you who are not aware, in the vanilla game, there's, I don't know if it's a bug or not, but the only quote-unquote advantage you get by promoting the Black Belt to a Master is he gets less magic defense per level. Congratulations, thanks for promoting.
Blurred classes right there.
So you're going to see, if they want to go for Black Belt strats, that Spellzapp is going to put off promoting for a while. Now, unfortunately, that is in direct competition with the fighters wanting to promote to Knights, so they start getting spell charges. So that's a little bit of an uncomfortable situation, as you want your fighters to get levels, or to promote early so they get levels to get spell charges. Well, you want the Black Belt to promote late so he gets as much MDef as possible. Now, the solution is usually a solo grind for the Black Belt where you don't have to deal with that issue, but we'll have to see what Spellzapp decides to do here.
Yeah. Ooh, Opal +5 Gauntlet for Gregglypuff. Probably not going to use that over the Pro Ring +2, since the Pro Rings +2 give you death protection, but otherwise it would be good gear.
This is also a nice grind tile. This is the Gershark tile. I assume it also comes alongside the Big Eyes.
I'm not sure if it does, considering we saw the Gershark Big Eye tile in Earth Cave.
Oh, right, yeah, so that's probably just the Gershark itself, but still a nice pickup if Gregglypuff was in a grinding mood, but it does not look like he is, as, once again, he, the Black Belt Master, danned his Black Belt immediately and is going to go for Fighter Thief strats.
Yep, yeah, he's really taking this serious at this point. And Spellzapp's checks have been paying off really well in key items, so that's going to really help him with leveling.
Ooh, we have a French Vanilla Fire tile here.
Yep. Yeah, there are file spike tiles in this, but this is normally an Agma tile. I don't know what happened to Spellzapp, but he's going back and re-diving the volcano. He had picked up the Masa before, he just picked it up again.
Yeah, so Crabcake's pointing out in chat that Greggly really needs to hit Cardia, but yeah, I don't think that's going to be a big concern. I think he's going to be going to Cardia very, very soon. Cardia is tempting just in a normal game with like 3 loose items. With everything being loose, Cardia is exceptionally valuable.
Absolutely, and he's also going to need to show up at Crescent Lake and talk to the old men in the park at some point, because he could really use that chime as well.
Yeah, I hope he goes there. That's a little bit questionable for me. I think that the instincts of like go to Crescent Lake hopefully helps a little bit, but oh man, I really do hope that he goes soon. It's something that he could put off for a long time, and that chime is going to be essential to winning this game.
Yeah, you can't win the game if you don't light all 4 orbs, and you can't light all 4 orbs if you can't get into Sky.
Yeah, so for people who are a little bit more familiar with flag sets, we do not have anything like short Topher, or all 4 orbs pre-lit, or anything along those lines. So these runners are going to need to light all 4 orbs have the loot and the key to defeat Chaos. And of course, to light all 4 orbs, they will need the rod, the oxtail, the chime, and the cube. So all the items that are in the bottom right are going to be necessary on the tracker.
And it looks like Gregglypuff is about to take on Carrie. So let's see how this goes. We are hold A and pray strats. So we got the Thief swinging 4 hits, 4 damage. Not what you want to see. 2 hits, 2 damage. Uh-oh. 3 hits for 30 damage. Carrie is swinging hard with Stun Touch and not taking a whole lot of damage. This is looking terrible for Gregglypuff right now.
She also has...
Down goes the Thief.
She has Stun Touch, too.
Yes, she does. Absolutely. Luckily, she's not hitting the fighters too hard, but the fighters aren't hitting her for anything either. 2 hits, 2 damage, 1's paralyzed, 5 hits, 46 back from Carrie, 2 hits, 61 from Carrie, 3 hits, 25 damage, yeah. Carrie's going to be a problem considering she's got at minimum vanilla health, and it can go up to 300% of that.
Yeah, so we're looking at 600 to 1800 health on this Carrie. So Gregglypuff really hoping that she rolls at the lower end of that.
Yeah, it's not looking great, though. So we're getting a lot of 2 hits for 2 damage, while Carrie just chunks us down. One hit, 1 damage. Oof.
Yeah, this silver... This Silver 5 doing its best Vorpal impression.
Yep. It is doing great damage when it gets a crit, but it's got to get a crit to do that damage, and down goes Greggly.
So, nothing essential has been lost here. He'll get everything he needs when he comes back.
Yeah, it was just a loss of time more than anything else.
Yeah, and I think Greggly's going to go do the cardio aisle checks next. Oh, okay. Quickly check Sarda.
I gotta say, Sarda also kind of a long walk, when we haven't even gone to, Crescent Lake yet.
Yeah. But, is Greggly gonna do it? Okay, Greggly's gonna check.
Please.
Do it, Greggly, do it.
He saved in the air just in case it's nothing. That's the smart play right there. So Greggly's going to pick up his chime, and that'll be great news for him.
Yeah, so Sky is, like, such a beautiful play in this particular flag set, other than the fact that you can run into Warmex everywhere. But they're going to want the cube first, most likely. With them being in the air and other checks available, they may hold out to get the cube first. But as soon as they get the chime and the cube, they're going to be running to Sky. You couldn't keep Spellzapp and Gregglypuff out of there.
Yeah, that's the thing about being in the sky. Basically everything is available to you, so it's, you know, all about, especially when everything's loose, it's all about chest density.
Yeah. So I really do hope that Gregglypuff goes and checks the cardio aisles here. I can't see him not. Now, the one thing that he may be waiting for, which is kind of ironic, is waiting for the tail to check them. But that's not really, it's not that slow of a check when you're in the air anyways. So I do hope that he goes soon. But, oh man, he's going to Mirage.
Yeah, this is a spicy play.
Now, Mirage is known for a few things. One, this first floor is quite easy to check, and you can just, you know, save and get your levels out. And two is that it's got really good... Oh my goodness. Sky provides, question mark?
Seems that way. The traditional... Oh, and a rod! Yeah, so there's all of our dungeons are now available. And a whiz staff in case we want to try and confuse Carrie to be able to take her down. And the loot! Good lord, Mirage provides today! Sky, 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 sky. Sky, 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 sky.
Wow. Okay, that was not what I was expecting. I was about to go on this whole spiel about how Sky is great to go to because it has, you know, you can get some levels, check a few chests pretty easily, come out and save, and then climb. But wow. That is a lot of key items.
Yeah, just like back to back to back. Let's go, Sky.
So, with Sky in mind, we are now...
And the Adamant! Why not?
we are now one item from Go mode. Because
We certainly
Sky.
are. Because Sky. And a second ribbon, yeah. Sky is just loaded.
Now, I'm very curious if Grigglypuff is going to keep going here. He absolutely could, but his levels are a little bit low. He really does still need to check the Cardia Isles, as promotion is going to be essential for this party to get those Knights and Thieves some spell charges.
If I were Grigglypuff and I just got washed by Carrie, I would not be in any rush to go see Tiamat.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Especially since I don't have a Bane Sword right now.
I mean, I'm also just saying, but Brack is level 1. If this Thief hits level, 23?
Ish,
He can go try and Bracken the Tia.
Certainly could.
But looks like Grigglypuff is going to keep climbing.
Yeah, hopefully this is just a treasure dive. I don't want to see him, go all the way up and then wipe.
One of our Swiss brackets, though, one of our bracket matches, we saw that Shadow Walker went all the way up to Sky 3 and then exited out. And that little time loss was, it wasn't necessarily a mistake, but it was something that ended up costing him just a little bit of critical time. And that was with an exit. In this case, this is going to be a walkout.
Yeah, it's definitely a questionable decision, especially when, it has been mentioned, Cardia has so many free checks. Crabcakes has even said she's surprised that he's still going higher, and she's surprised that he hasn't gone Cardia yet when everything is loose.
So Bad Karma asking in chat what level is Spellzapp taking this black belt to. So general wisdom is going to say that he's going to take it to minimum 32, but generally speaking you can go as high as 42 and somewhere in between. Sometimes you'll see them going to 40 or so, hoping that he can get the rest of the levels to 42 before he fights Chaos.
On Crown in Sky as well.
So we'll have to see, but somewhere between 32 and 42 is going to be where we're going to see Spellzapp stop. Wow.
Already up to 36, so this grind with the nachos is going great for him.
And we'll have to
suggesting that he may just go until he's out of heal pots.
Yes, so this difference in strategy, which is kind of hilarious because it's the opposite of what we would expect to see. So this One Punch Man is going to go through absolutely everything. Carry, not going to be a problem. Tia, not going to be a problem. Kraken, not going to be a problem. Well, Grigglypuff has saved a bunch of time checking all these chests while Spellzapp's grinded, but is going to actually have to decide, can I take on these various fiends? So this strategic difference is going to play out over the next, 45 minutes or so, and is going to be a really important factor in this race.
Yeah, it certainly is. That's the thing about grinding a black belt up. It's a big time investment, but once you do, that's a whole lot of time you're going to save when you're having to fight everything else.
Yeah, like for example, right now, all those troubles Grigglypuff had on carry, Spellzapp's not going to have an issue.
Yeah, Spellzapp's going to swing at most twice, and Carrie's going to take a dirt nap.
Yeah, the thing with Grigglypuff is that he went all the ways down Volcano, opened all the chests, and then died. And now he's going to go all the ways up Sky, open all the chests, and then either wipe or have to walk out, and in both cases it's just a ton of time loss.
Ooh, got lucky running away from that War Mech before it could do something nasty. Anyway, hey, there's a Bane Sword 5. Okay, now we can beat Tia, it's fine. Everything's fine, Sky provides, we never should have doubted Grigglypuff in the first place.
Yeah, Bane gonna actually be a pretty good way to take out Tia. It's not the highest percentage, but Tia actually is weak to poison. So a reasonable chance, and with the levels that these fighters at, their HP pools, it could be doable. Oh my goodness.
And there's the key! Everything was in Sky!
So Sky is go mode, period.
Yeah.
You go to Sky, you hit go mode.
Yeah, all we needed to hit go mode, it's ridiculous.
On Earth. Okay, now the craziest thing about this, and the worst thing for Spellzapp, is the fact that the cube is here. Because Spellzapp's gonna probably put off Mirage, waiting until he has the cube. It's like Rod in Earth 3, or Rod in Vampire Chest, where you just like never go there because what triggers you to go there is the fact that you found the item that's there. So that's going to be a huge advantage for Gregglypuff. Now, the thing that we don't want to see for Gregglypuff here is that he takes a wipe.
He keeps running into Warmech. Like, Warmech's doing everything in his power to punch Gregglypuff out of this Sky Temple.
Yeah, and he's go-moding.
Yeah, he certainly is. So, it's possible he's not even going to bother going to Cardia, finding his tail and promoting.
Oh yeah, this is gonna... Unfortunately, Sky has so much, it's not gonna make him want to get the tail. And that's really, really bad, because I believe we have Fade, we have Cure 2.
Yeah, we had some decent spells that our fighters would absolutely benefit from. Not to mention, we have, well, actually, I don't know that... Well, we've got that X-Cal that we'd probably like to equip as well.
Yeah. See, if I'm Gregglypuff, I'd be in a little bit of an unfortunate situation. Is this type of early go mode is actually exactly when you want Black Belt strats. So if Gregglypuff, you know, he can't really go to the Black Belt now, but Spellzapp, if he goes to Mirage and then Sky, he's just going to absolutely destroy this seed.
Yeah, he will go as fast as one person can possibly play this game.
Yeah, and Spellzapp, as he's proven in the spring tournament, that's very, 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 very fast.
Crabcake's suggesting that Gregglypuff should bring the Black Belt back up, grind it, and then rush.
Well, Spunslash says that he's, you know, Gregglypuff is trying to land the elbow from the ropes.
Yep, going full macho, trying to go full Macho Man on Spellzapp.
Now, this unrunnable pack is actually really good for Gregglypuff. It's not doing anything, and it's giving him some levels to really increase his chance of getting through Tia.
Oh, hey, look, Warmech is on the Bridge of Destiny today.
Is this even randomized?
Right?
So, this is, I think what you do here is you do a test swing with your swords, and then if that doesn't work, you just go to, like, Heal Pot and Bane strats. But, okay.
I personally would have done what Greggly did, where I have I take the test swing and start throwing out the Bane right away. And if the test swing is good, then I stop Baning and keep swinging.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, this is not good. This Tia has 1,000 HP minimum, and can go up as high as 3,000. So Baning's going to be your best shot. Someone in chat probably going to give me the exact percentage, but I believe it's somewhere between 10 and 20. So it's not terrible, but not definitely not going to be easy here.
No, not at all. And yeah, again, like that's the big thing. The clamped boss health is why I start Baning right away, and it goes off. Gregglypuff successfully makes it through Sky, and at 50 minutes and 11 seconds is the first racer to light an orb. Also, the first racer in Go mode.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, Greggly. If you watch this back, man, that Bane Sword bailed you out real good there. You might have been able to take out Tia there because Tia wasn't doing much, but that was going to be a really sketchy fight and slow as all heck without the Bane Sword.
Oh, I think Gregglypuff might actually be doing what Crabcake suggested. He just moved the Masa to his Black Belt.
Yeah, this does not surprise... Okay, yeah, he realizes that checking for gear is going to be way slower than just, like, Black Belting the heck out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be interesting. He hit Go mode real quick. And so it's just going to be, did leaving the Black Belt down end up biting him in the end? Did giving up on his signature class cost him?
Funslash pointing out he's not going to Cardia, but actually with this decision, it actually makes not going to Cardia totally fine. Grinding the Black Belt is going to allow him to not need to promote to the same level.
Yep, he's just got to find a proper grind tile.
Not really what you're looking for. Oh, and Spellzapp is going to go to Sky, it looks like.
Yep, so Spellzapp, about to be in Go mode, has already lit the Fire Orb, will easily light his Air Orb, and gonna be in Go mode, so this kind of feels like advantage Spellzapp at this point.
Yeah, if Spellzapp went anywhere else, this is going to be bad news for him, but to be honest, there's not that many locations left for him. He's already cleared out all of Left Side C. He's already cleared out Earth 1. he would have to have gone to an incentive dungeon, which at this point we know are completely empty. So,
Yep, and Spellzapp getting the good news that Sky provides.
yeah, I think Gregglypuff... Oh, he does not want that tile, so I... Oh no, he does. Yeah, so Gregglypuff gonna take the Gurshark Big Eye tile.
And that makes a lot of sense. That's probably the biggest XP tile he's found, aside from the Nacho Plate that he may not even remember is there.
I believe Gregglypuff has a Thor Hammer, does he not?
I believe he's got a Zeus
Or a Zeus
Gauntlet, yeah. Same thing, really.
Oh, it might have been in, actually, it might have been in Volcano, and he might have wiped there.
Oh, could be. And, yeah, Gregglypuff deciding that those Gursharks have too much HP to be an effective grind tile. And it looks like he's going back to the Volcano, so he's probably going to load up on Nachos, just like Spellzapp did.
Yeah, and at this point, I think Spellzapp has just had slightly faster execution than Gregglypuff, because, not even execution, he's just taken a less costly wipe. And that's why I believe Spellzapp has a little bit of the lead. The fighters being promoted is also going to be kind of a benefit that Gregglypuff never makes up, as he's going to be swinging an X-Cal, a very, very good X-Cal. But just because of the fact that Spellzapp went to Sky so quickly, that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, it really is. Not going to Cardia unfortunately bit Gregglypuff, as did deciding to not do a black belt.
Yeah, not only that, just the way that this has routed out, Gregglypuff has lots of levels on his fighters, but his fighters are just not going to be that important other than just as a meat shield, which means they could have actually had a little bit less HP. And all that time that he spent getting levels on them with one plan and then having to switch plans halfway through the seed, I think it's the right decision, but it's just unfortunate the way it worked out. Well, Spellzapp was committed to the black belt plan from the beginning, and he's going to get rewarded for that.
He certainly is, and he's also getting rewarded with a ribbon here, because, of course, he's going to make these checks right up until he finds that key.
Yeah, Spellzapp's just in a very, very good spot here.
Crabcake's pointing out the fact that Black Belt's got a vanilla crit rate right now, so being a level 42 Black Belt with vanilla crit rate is just going to do house level damage.
Yeah, so Spellzapp, basically the plan at this point is he's going to hit Go mode, open no more boxes, go to Sea, kill Kraken, go to Earth, kill Lich, go to Topher, one punch everything. That's a pretty fast, solid plan. Meanwhile, Gregglypuff has a very similar plan, except it involves grinding for probably 5 minutes first, which Spellzapp has already done.
Yeah, and I think that's actually, like, the big change here. The fact that we have the vanilla crit rate on the Black Belt made the Black Belt the correct decision from the beginning.
Ooh, that's... Yes and no. They were expecting to open a lot more boxes than what they have already. And if you're in box opening time, and you find the tail first, for example, which Spellzapp did, but if you're Gregglypuff and you've already got the tail, you've already got all your items that you need, you have an X-Cal 2, you have a Massa -5, you have all the gear in the world, and you probably already found the defense and the power bonk because you've had to open basically every box in the game. The double fighter strat was going to work out really, really well. It's just the fact that this seed for this flag set is a little bit unique, in that they hit Go mode so fast that it's really going to make the Black Belt strat faster. So I wouldn't say that in this flag set the Black Belt strat is the strat, but it definitely was an option, and with the way that the incentive items paid out, it really, really paid off here.
And Spellzapp is now punching Warmex to go ahead and get some extra XP on his entire party. And Warmex did have quite a lot of HP.
I'm a little surprised he hasn't brought up his Thief at this point. Getting a couple extra levels on that would have been very nice, but...
Yeah, having some Lock 2 casts would be real nice going into Topher, just in case.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I was thinking about as well, is that the Black Belt can't do damage to something he can't hit.
Absolutely.
Now, with the vanilla crit rates, though, with the vanilla crit rates, it is going to be a little bit easier, but that that thief is going to be like very quick, and also just give you those lock charges. So I'm a little surprised by that decision. But he didn't know he was in go mode yet. That's right. Okay, so for the next dungeon, he might bring it up.
Yeah, I don't know. After I've done a full black belt grind, I like to bring the whole party back up, because at that point, like if my black belt's already 42, splitting XP at that point doesn't really hurt too much.
So Celine asking in chat, yeah, is Gregory trying to die or something? And yeah, the answer is he's trying to let his fighters go down, so that way his black belt can get solo EXP on these nachos.
And Spellzapp thought about running from Warmech, then decided, nah, I'm gonna punch this robot down.
Yeah, I think this might, just hilariously enough, turn into a seed where Gregglypuff is the one who ultimately decided that he was going to go for the non-Gregglypuff strategy and then switched halfway through. And that strategy switch, it's like when you leave a chest loose. When you leave a chest, like unchecked, when you skip a chest, you have to commit to the skip. Because if you backtrack, then you're losing all possible time loss, even worse than if you had just checked it in the first place. So you have to kind of commit to your strats, and Gregglypuff is kind of had switched back and forth. Now, I understand the reason why he made this decision, because, once again, when you're hit go mode this early, you need that black belt. But Spellzapp had a strategy all along, and because of that, he's going to just beeline through it. And unfortunately for Gregglypuff, this seed just kind of benefited that strategy more, but wavering may cost Spellzapp, or may cost Gregglypuff even more than just going for it. Because he could have gone in with just 2 fighters and see if he could take out Topher.
Absolutely. And Spellzapp getting his key and hitting go mode. When you're playing against someone as good as Spellzapp is, you just can't afford to waffle in your strategy.
Yeah. Now, Gregglypuff is the master of the black belt strat, so he's done a really good job about knowing when to, take down the fighters, when to go with the solo black belt. Notice he's going down and up instead of left and right, so anyone else, people who are not familiar might go left and right, but actually going down and up prevents you from getting an encounter on the off step, as anything along the railings don't count as encounter causing steps. So going down and up, a nice veteran move there.
It certainly is. And Crabcake's noting that the black belt just hit 42 on Spellzapp's side, so he gets its final hit, and we have got the most maximum one punch. 1800 damage to that Manticore. It never had a chance.
Yeah, so Spellzapp gonna go take out Tia without any problems. We will not be seeing... Well, actually, we'll probably still be seeing Bane strats, but we won't be needing Bane strats.
No, not at all. We can just... We might see the Bane strats, but we also are going to see a whole lot of punches thrown right into Tia's many, many faces.
Now, that being said, this Nacho grind here, you're in the right dungeon. You can just go down, kill carry. So really, it's not that far apart. Right now, Greggly is going to be easily still within 1 Topher wipe of Spellzapp. It's not... The difference is not that large.
Nope, but he is going to have to hope for that Topher wipe.
Yes. And that is unlikely with the level of Black Belt that Spellzapp has and the scalings that we're at.
Very, very true.
Just another huge advantage Spellzapp will have is not only will he have his knights promoted, he'll also have the defense sword, because he knows to pick that up on the way to Kraken.
Yeah, whereas Gregglypuff is just going to go mode C.
Cyrenus asking in chat, stop at 32 and hope it's enough. Yeah, I think that's what I would do, but Gregglypuff probably knows better than I would. My reasoning for that is A, I feel like I need to go fast, and B, I also know that the crit changes are on, so damage-wise aren't going to be a problem. The extra levels would just add to my health pool.
Yeah, I think especially with making the strategy switch this late into the seed, stopping at 32 would make a lot of sense.
He may also opt to go a little bit higher and try and hit 42 off a few Warmech fights, as he knows it's likely he'll run into some. But he is continuing to heal up at 32, so we'll see how much higher he goes.
Probably gonna go till he runs out of heal pots.
Yeah. I do know that Gregglypuff has said many times in like post-race spoiler discussions that he's like, I always grind my black belt too high, or like I always grind him up to 42. Like Gregglypuff is all about that One Punch Man life. So
Poison Smoke terminated.
wow, Spellzapp getting some really good luck on that Bane Sword. Not that he really needed it, but nice nonetheless.
Well, he only did like 500 damage with his black belt swings. That Titan Mat could have taken upwards of 6 turns to kill.
Oh, what a tragedy.
Yeah, I know. Absolute. We want to go fast, not slow.
So yeah, Spellzapp looking to be about an orb and a half ahead, because Gregglypuff is going to be taking out Carry shortly here. But Gregglypuff does need to stop this grind soon, or else he's going to just keep getting a little bit further behind.
And you called it, Jat. After hitting Go Mode, Deng has come back from the dead, and we're going to start seeing some levels pick up on that ninja.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. We were talking about Spellzapp as if he already knew he was in Go Mode. Like, why didn't you bring up the ninja? You know, you have everything you need to get some levels on it. But, of course, he didn't know he hit Go Mode until he was, 3/4 of the way up Sky.
He also wasn't quite at 42 yet on the black belt, so...
Yeah, but in this case, he's going to be taking no fights other than probably War Mechs. He'll take all the War Mechs he can get.
Yeah, I imagine he'll run from anything that's not a giant robot chicken.
Yeah. Okay, Gregglypuff, how high? He's going to go to 42. So he's going to hit 42 or 41 or 40 exactly, and then just peace out and take no fights for the rest of the seed.
Yep, and unfortunately it makes sense. It just is a shame that it shook out this way.
Yeah. So yeah, Spellzapp going to go pick up his defense. The defense and the tail, two big advantages Spellzapp going through Topher. At this point, Gregglypuff's going to have to hope for... Spellzapp basically needs to just get... Topher needs to be tough, and Spellzapp has to have much worse RNG than Gregglypuff gets. Because Spellzapp's going to be better prepared for Topher, and going in earlier. So those are not a good place to be.
No, not at all. And, okay, that had to have been the Power Staff that he dropped, not the Power Bonk. I just saw Power get dropped for the defense, and I'm like, wait, what?
Wildfire asking in chat, where was the tail? The tail was in the Cardia Isles. So a pretty easy chest to check, but Gregglypuff didn't decide to go there early because he hit Go Mode. Oh, interesting. He's also deciding to bring his fighters up before going to take on Carry. I think this is just because he doesn't want to have to deal with, like, clearing trash mobs with a solo black belt. But also just taking a little bit of time, too.
Yep, Spellzapp getting a nice long run on the Kraken floor. A really nice, really long run on the Kraken floor, my goodness. Healing up in case the Calamari decides to bite back today.
Yeah. Something I often do when I'm healing potting like that, right before I go to Topher, is I'll actually make sure I end up on something that ends at a 9, so that way I can buy an exact amount of heal pots. But that's just...
That's a smart play, and one that I should probably think about making. And yeah, Kraken gets one punched, as opposed to the normal Kraken doing the one punching. Spellzapp recognizing that, oops, I had never equipped the katana on my ninja, and does so.
So Spellzapp one lich away from Topher at this point, and this has been quite a fast seed.
Absolutely, yeah, they're just blazing through this thing.
I mean, when you don't have to check any of the mini dungeons, Ice Cave, Waterfall, or Ordeals, it definitely speeds things up quite a bit.
Yeah, that's 3 dungeons that they haven't had to step one single foot in. We've still got 2 ribbons, we've got, lots of great gear, we got, basically everything we need. And
yeah,
we didn't have to do 3 whole dungeons.
The only things that they're missing at this point that I would be looking for are the white shirt and the power bonk, especially the power bonk. Without the white shirt, you can do just fine because of the defense sword, but not having the white shirt, the power bonk, or the defense in Gregglypuff's case is going to be a little bit scary, but should be possible. And I think that is why he decided to grind his black belt up all the ways to 42.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Spellzapp, the guillotine only works if you talk to the NPC, not the wall.
So Gragglypuff has Volcano, and then likely he may go to Sea or Earth next, probably Earth next just because it's closer, and then he will go to Topher. So yeah, pretty much just a couple orbs behind here, but they'll be relatively quick for him.
Yep. And Spellzapp, Zoo's gauntleting down this gigantic pack of undead. Deng hits level 10.
I'm surprised Gragglypuff still has his Thief in the first slot. Taking time to revive him in town takes a bunch of time, so moving it down, if you're trying to keep him alive just so he gets some levels, it's nice to move him down, into maybe that third slot. The first
with how much armor those fighters have.
Yeah, exactly. The fighters are great at soaking up hits. The first and second slot, the first slot has 50% chance of getting hit, the second slot has 25% chance of getting hit, and then the third and fourth slots both have 12.5% each. So if you ever hear people saying, complaining about getting back rowed or backlined multiple times in a row, it's because they're dealing with that 12.5% chance and they're unhappy about it.
Crabcake's pointing out that it would have been a great idea for Spellzapp to go get Fade on both of his knights before coming to Earth Cave, considering we have this giant unrunnable undead pack.
And Gragglypuff listening to the comms, moving his black belt into the front as Cyranus has asked. I think he recognized it as well. Yeah, and Sports Jeff pointing out, when you fight Kraken, he back rows 100% of the time. Proven,
That's right.
Numbers don't lie. It happened to me
once. And they
once.
spell disaster for your white mage at sacrifice.
Yes. So Spellzapp about to have his fourth orblet around the 1 hour and 10 minute mark. Meanwhile, Gragglypuff, yep, going to Earth first, because it's close to Volcano, then heading up to Sea, and then Sea to Topher. Ooh.
Yep.
These could have been
Lich
nasty.
actually got a cast.
This Ghost Pack could have been very nasty, having Squint and Rub.
Yeah, luckily we've got a max M or a near max MDef black belt and 2 ribbons.
And here we go. Spellzapp gonna do last minute shopping and then enter Topher at about the 1 hour and 10 minute mark.
Maybe the 1 minute and 11 mark. Oh, life was available for the fighters. I missed that at the beginning of the seed. That's huge.
Yeah. He's not taking the time to go pick up Fade, which could slow him down a little bit in Topher, but of course that's not an advantage that Gragglypuff is going to have over him, as Gragglypuff is absolutely committed to the non-promoted strats at this point.
Yeah, that's just another advantage that the champ's got over the contender.
Ghost Wizard asking in chat, how many bosses are there total in this game? So that's a little bit of a tricky question to answer, but I'll give you the kind of general answer. So in order to win the game, you're going to have to fight 9 key bosses. So you're going to have to fight Lich 1, Carry 1, Kraken 1, Tia 1, which are the bosses of each of the 4 orbs that you see that Spellzapp has gotten lit. And then in Topher, which is where we are, Temple of Fiends Revisited, the final dungeon, you have to fight a refight of Lich, Carry, Kraken, and Tia, all of them which are called Lich 2, Carry 2, Kraken 2, and Tia 2. And then finally you have to fight the big man himself in Chaos. Yes. So there's a couple other mini-bosses like the Vampire or Garland that people may talk about, but those are the big 9.
Also Warmech.
And yes, Chaos is Chaos this flag set. And Cyranus pointing out, yeah, okay, Garland is basically required to beat most seeds. So yeah, Garland could be considered another little mini-boss.
I'm pretty sure it counts as a boss as far as these flags are concerned, with the separated boss scaling from enemy scaling.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And here we go, Spellzapp into Topher, while Gragglypuff lights his third orb. Just one left.
Oh, Gurmaduces with Stone Touch. That's awful.
Ooh, that's terrible.
That's really awful, and Spellzapp takes a wipe.
So Stone Touch, there's nothing you can do to prevent it, other than have Evasion and have MDef. And Gurmaduce is actually one of the worst things to have Stone Touch, as they hit many, many times, and each of those hits has an opportunity to turn you to stone. So it's basically just going to be a big RNG fest.
Remember when Crabcake said Spellzapp should have gone and gotten Fade on both of his knights?
Yeah. The way to avoid the RNG fest is kill them before they Stone Touch you. So I've often said that, Gurmaduces are a great grind pack because they're tons of EXP and they don't do much. But when they have Stone Touch, that is not the case.
Yeah, getting Stone Touch or Stun Touch or Death Touch on Gurmaduces is among the most annoying things you can run into. Or aggravate.
Ooh. This fight also sucks. And Gragglypuff is going to have a really tough time against these unrunnable slimes. Because I don't think he has any AoE caster items.
Yeah, and Spellzapp not using his AoE caster items. And
yeah,
goes down.
These metal slimes look like they'd be weak to lightning, but they actually resist it. They're weak to fire. But it still might be faster just to try and Zeus Gauntlet them a few times in a row.
Yeah, I mean, you could be, have one person casting that and you might have gotten a few extras down. It's hard to say, especially when, these knights are hitting 5 hits for 4 damage, so you're only reliably killing them with the black belt.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious if Spellzapp didn't check white magic at level 3.
Crabcake saying sad fade sounds.
Yeah, Jonathan Yoshi pointing out Mage pretty good against these slimes, but I'm not sure where the Mage Stick was. So
yeah, I didn't see it. So
ooh, Kraken has damage poison.
Not sure that's gonna matter much when it gets punched. Oh wow, Kraken survived the punch.
Not gonna survive a second one. Here,
oh
though.
Gosh, yeah, no.
He didn't get many crits on his first one. He only hit like 600 and something damage.
Yeah, that'll be a problem.
Cyrana's saying in before Greggly never encounters slimes or Gurmadusas, but I think... I don't know if that's unlikely or not, because Spellzapp went in off a power cycle to begin, but I don't know if he went in again off a power cycle or if he was trying to dodge the Gurmadusas. Gragglypuff will most likely go in off the power cycle, which means he will likely not... He will probably hit the first pack of Gurmaduces, but may not hit those unrunnable slimes.
Oof. Spellzapp getting lucky and only getting 2 party members stoned by the Gurmaduces that dive. And Gragglypuff now hot on Spellzapp's heels.
Yeah, this is turning into a very close race. There is everything I said before about what Gragglypuff needs is a little bit of a tough Topher and Spellzapp getting some RNG. Well, that is definitely in the books. Spellzapp already took a wipe, a few floors ahead of Gragglypuff, but, anything going wrong, this could easily become a race Gragglypuff can win. Now, a couple key advantages Spellzapp has. He has the defense sword, he has life, but those things, may not matter if he just gets, all stone touched or anything like that.
Absolutely, and it does look like they're on similar RNG tables coming in, because it looks like Gragglypuff is hitting the same encounters I saw Spellzapp hit earlier, so he's probably going to run into those Gurmaduces and get some bad news.
Yeah, most runners will come in on a power cycle, and the reason for that is so that you can get the same encounter table if you wipe and go in again, or if you hate the encounter table, come in on a different encounter table the second time.
And yep, Gragglypuff getting some bad news, and is able to run away. Meanwhile, Spellzapp taking on Carry 2. Carry 2 throwing out some Ice 3. Night swings, 5 hits, 277. Oh yeah, goodbye Carry 2.
Did Gragglypuff not have softs?
Maybe? And there's his second pack of Gurmaduces, so...
I mean, losing the Thief not going to be the end of the world, but if his black belt gets stoned, he's just done. And it looks like he doesn't have any softs. Wow. Getting through okay with the 3 key party members, really, losing that Thief going to have almost no relevance other than just decreased run chance.
Yep. Meanwhile, Spellzapp is probably this one encounter away from running into Kraken.
Meanwhile, Gregglypuff taking this Agama fight one tile away from carry. Okay, here we go. Kraken 2 coming on. We're going with just hold A and pray strats. Not even
Makes a
using
lot
the
of sense.
defense.
Yeah, a lot of people have gone to the strategy of just try and blast Kraken down before Kraken blasts you down, and that pays right the heck off for Spellzapp as Kraken, takes out Dang and then falls itself.
Yeah, at this scaling, that makes a lot of sense. If you have much higher scaling or you have much lower damage, going for defensive strats can make sense, but where we are right now, you're just going to do better, just trying to kill him before he kills you. Here we go.
We're doing the same on the big lady herself, Tiamat. Tiamat takes 700 damage from the black belt, isn't very impressed with that, and swings back for 400 damage on the black belt itself. Survives the first round of combat, so we'll see where we go from here. 4 hits, 300 damage. Tiamat definitely rolled up on HP. 3 hits, 81 damage from Dang. Tiamat, very punchy today, has now survived 2 swings from the black belt. We're over 2,000 damage now. Another swing, 66 damage. Dan coming out, 228. Another punch, 8 hits, 883 damage. Tiamat goes down.
Yeah, Tia very close to her maximum HP at 3,300. And here we go, on to Chaos, 2,000 to 6,000 HP. We haven't seen anything scary from the previous Fiends. What is Chaos going to hold?
This is it. Will Spellzapp retain his championship, or will he take a wipe and open up a chance for the challenger Gregglypuff to steal the crown?
Gregglypuff one boss behind. And here we go, Chaos getting pulled, going to go with the defensive strats on his non-damage dealer. So actually what he's doing is putting the defense sword onto the first fighter, so that way that fighter can take hits while the black belt swings, but already doing over 1,000 damage.
Yep, 1,200 on that first swing. Next swing, 9 hits, 356. Goodbye, K. And with an official SRL time, Spellzapp has finished in 1 hour, 19 minutes, and 22 seconds. GG the Spellzapp.
Yeah, and that just really showing what the vanilla crit rate does to these black belts. Because my goodness, that black belt hit really, really hard.
Absolutely did. And Gregglypuff so close behind. This race ended up being far closer than we expected it would, considering Gregglypuff's change in strategy right near the end.
Yeah, I think Gregglypuff made the right decision. It's just switching the strategy at that point basically guaranteed he would be behind Spellzapp unless Spellzapp did not go to Sky. But if there's one thing that Spellzapp loves more than white mages, it's Sky. So that unfortunately just did not pay off for him, and Spellzapp played very clean, and because of that ultimately came out ahead. But all the props to Gregglypuff too. He played a great race, and if the loose items had turned out a little bit differently, all that time that Spellzapp spent grinding could have just, been wasted, as Gregglypuff gets all the gear that he needs and enters Go mode way later. So I don't even know if it was a strategy mistake or if it was just a kind of unfortunate effect of where all the loose items were.
And Gregglypuff finishes with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 20 minutes, and 41 seconds. Less than a minute and a half behind. GG to Gregglypuff.
Yeah, I think this is a great race, a really good title match between two fantastic runners. We'll have to see if either of them are going to join us in the booth for an interview. And we are joined by Gregglypuff. GG, Gregglypuff.
Hey, thanks, man.
So, what are your feelings on Sky?
I was fantastic. I couldn't believe how much stuff was up there. The only thing that really bummed me out was the fact that I was trying to take a calculated risk by not really talking to NPCs because, they're just like a treasure box in the game, right? So
yeah.
I did the volcano play hoping, because there were more chests there than anywhere else, that I could get to at the time. And then, of course, when I'm done, I wipe on carry. I'm like, I guess I'll talk to Sarda and the sages and see what they have. And, of course, they had the chime the whole time. And then Mirage was just loaded, and so was Sky, and it was beautiful.
And we are also joined in the booth by our winner here, Spellzapp. GG, Spellzapp.
Hey, thanks, Jet.
So yeah, this was a really close race. You can see in the SRL times just how close. Now, a really interesting storyline for us was twofold. One is that both of you took a wipe in a dungeon that, was a little bit unfortunate. After spending quite a bit of time, Spellzapp took a wipe to, I believe it was Warmac in C.
Yeah, on the way out.
Side.
Yeah.
And Gregglypuff took a wipe to carry. Other notes, though. So, Gregglypuff, what were your thoughts on not going black belt strats? Or was your plan all along to change into them?
Well, when I saw the Silver Sword +5, and I had already gotten money out of the out of Temple of Fiends, I was like, well, this is good. And then I think I got the Silver Dagger 4 out of Elfland, and I was like, well, this is good. And so at that point, I realized that I was going to let the black belt hang out, take a nap for a little bit until I could maybe find the tail and then do class change and then move things on. But once I was in go mode finding the key, I was like, well, I'm not going to get the advantage of having the ninja learn black magic and the knight learn white magic. I'm not going to be able to equip much more stuff than what I have here. And I think it'd be quicker for me to go on ahead and try to grind up my black belt on these nachos than, try to hunt down a tail.
Yeah, and it turns out the tail that you were looking for was hiding in Cardia, so it was like right next door to Bahamut.
I considered checking those chests before I got the chime. That was my next play until I had talked to Lucan and got the chime.
And then over to Spellzapp, you, on the other hand, committed to kind of a black belt strat right away. Was that your idea when you saw the grind tile? Was that your idea when you saw the flag set? Like, what made you think that, I'm going to go with the black belt grind here?
Well, there were two things. One, the flags. There was 300% health. I feel like I could have made it through Topher without that, but it would have taken a long time, and I think the black belt, made up in time. Two, if you run into a war mech, you can take it out with the black belt, and I felt like it made it safer to do it then, and then sort of use it for the rest of the game. And I guess third, we didn't see fast or temper available in the first 4 levels, which is what you'd get after a class change. So then I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go black belt and make it a lot easier.
Yeah, so... go ahead, Dr. Funkin.
Do you regret not going and grabbing Fade on your knights after seeing those Stone Touch?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I was like, hey, I could grab it. It'd be out there, but I just wanted to go. But thankfully, second time through, the black belt tanked a lot of hits, because at that point it's 3 and 256. I mean, there's a lot of hits, but you can.
It's only 2 and 256. You had the extra.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
flags.
even
cheese for that one.
Yeah, so Gregglypuff, you had no softs either, right?
Nope. Which was fine. My Keith wasn't really doing anything except helping me run from battles.
So you two were within 1 boss of each other, and actually the reason for that was Spellzapp entered a few minutes before you, but he took a complete party wipe to the Stone Touch Gurmedusa, so we were a little bit worried when we saw that you didn't have any of those softs. And actually, Zenobian pointing out in chat that touches don't use the standard RNG, they use a unique variable, and it's 1/200 against max MDef, so Spellzapp got very unlucky there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought about the thing that, you always think, like when it's this close, when you only lose by about a minute and a half or so, the thing that really cost me my time, and the thing that I can think of right away, is trying to find something better than nachos when I decided I was going to go on ahead and grind. That at least cost me a minute and a half. But
yeah, I think that, and also the just taking on carry. I mean, that carry 2 wipe, if it had gone well...
One, yeah.
Or, sorry, carry 1. I think if that had gone well, that was definitely your race to lose, but carry decided to put up a brick wall, and you took a little bit of a gamble there, as you didn't necessarily have all the tools in the world to take on that carry.
No, I thought the Silver +5 was going to be fine. I mean, it's a good sword. Like, it's Silver Sword already is the best vendor weapon in the game, and you put a +5 modifier. I expected to do a little more damage against carry than what I was doing, and yeah, I should have probably reset out of that battle the second I realized I wasn't doing any damage to her, and that she was probably going to roll, somewhere between, or not probably, but was definitely going to roll somewhere between 600 and 1800 hit points.
Yeah. But that being said, I can totally understand, your call there. And then ultimately against Tia, you got the Bane Sword, which really helped. You took a couple more turns. Spellzapp also actually baned Tia down, but you had the level 42 black belt at that point, Spellzapp. So it wasn't really a risk so much as just a little bit faster. So maybe let's talk a little bit more about the Irongol Heavy Metal Championship. So Spellzapp, repeated belt defenses. Do you have anything you want to say to any future challengers? Are you feeling confident? Do you want all comers?
Yeah, let's get. That's the whole point about this whole thing is to try different flags. Show off a few different options that the randomizer can do. You're never gonna see Unleashed Warmech in like a spring tournament or like a, bosses this high for percentage and for forced. So, you can start to bring these one-offs and really show kind of the depth of knowledge that you have at the randomizer and bring that to the challenge here.
It also adds a great variety just as a spectator of what we can expect from the randomizer and shows just how deep the randomizer itself is.
And over to you, Gregory Puff. Any plans for the future? Are you aching to get back to that number one contender slot? What are your plans for the future? And if you get another chance to challenge Spellzapp, do you have any flag set changes in mind?
No, not really. I mean, well, to answer the first part of the question, if I become the number one contender again, that'd be fantastic, and I'll take on whoever happens to be there. I'm not gonna really fight for it, if that makes any sense, because I think you lose 5 rankings when you're defeated by the champion. So there's a battle royal coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll probably just kind of hang out and watch Spellzapp do his thing against other contenders and just kind of keep my 6th place spot for the time being and see how the battle royal ends up going. But as far as flag set changes are concerned, if I do get to go up against Spellzapp again, no, I actually really I either zero loose with Shard Hunt or everything's loose. And, I like the 4 force party because it really makes you, first off, A, it puts you up against your opponent with the exact same party. And B, it makes you think about what you need to do the second you see the screen. You don't have you can't really plan for it. You just have to go for it as soon as you see who you have. So I thought those flags were really well. I really liked the idea of separating the HP scaling versus the stat scaling. I thought that was really cool. So overall, I'd probably just stick with what I did this last time.
Awesome. And Dr. Funkin, do you have any questions for these 2 runners?
No, I think we've done a great job covering it. Either of you have any final thoughts you'd like to share about this race or about the Irongol Heavy Metal Championship Series itself?
No, it's a lot of fun. Just keep the challenges coming. I'll keep showing off what we got with the flag sets and look forward to some good races.
Yeah, I think the same. I am very excited. Spring tournament will be over here pretty soon, and I'm just excited to see what's next for Irongol Heavy Metal tournament stuff or championship stuff. Because I know that we've got the one championship, but I don't be surprised if there are more championships coming up with co-op around the corner and other things. So I'm looking forward to taking on anybody who wants to challenge me. To try to get up to the number one contendership, and I look forward to watching Spellzapp defend his title in the future. And I thank both of you guys for doing the comms, and whoever tracked it was
Jonathan Yoshi.
Jonathan Yoshi, yes, of course.
It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, you two. Everyone thank you everyone who came out to watch this fine race this lovely Sunday afternoon. Please follow our runners. They put on an amazing show for you today. Please follow my co-commentator, Jat2980. Follow our tracker, Jonathan Yoshi. Please follow the Speed Gaming family of channels. If you saw this and thought, wow, that looks nuts, I would love to get in on that, go to FinalFantasyRandomizer.com, pick yourself some flags, and roll yourself a seed. If you've got trouble getting through it, come and join us on the Discord. We'll be happy to answer any questions you've got. And if you come join us on the Discord, you can become a part of the Irongol Heavy Metal Championships series. Jat, is there anything else you would like to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out exactly what you're saying. This Irongol Heavy Metal Championship Series is open to anyone, and you can join at any time. It's not like a tournament. There's no commitment. You can take part in the Rumble that's coming up shortly. So if you think this looks like fun, come in at any point and join us. And we got plenty of people here to help you out. So pass it back over to you, Dr. Funkin, to finish us off.
That should do it for everyone. I hope you all have a great day.